Welcome to the 10-Minute Mind Shift Podcast. I'm your host, Janet Cagle, certified life coach, weight loss coach, and lover of all things related to upleveling my life and yours. My goal is to help you get one step closer to your goal, whatever it is. My goal is not to keep you wrapped up in self-help all day, just 10 minutes. And who doesn't have 10 minutes, right? Hey friend, welcome back. How are you? It has been a minute. I am so glad you are here. This is episode number 116, Intentional Boundaries. Today, I want to give you a little mind shift around boundaries and talk about what they really are and how you can use them to uplevel your life and the way you experience other people. I'm going to give you a real life example of a boundary that I set recently intentionally, and I will tell you why. A mind left unmanaged is going to be using boundaries all wrong. So buckle up, my friends. This topic is a little bumpy, but I promise a smooth landing. As humans, with our amazing human brains, we are always searching for ways to control other people in our lives, maybe not consciously, but for sure, subconsciously. We do that so that we can be happy, feel better, experience life the way we want. In episode 12, way back in episode 12, I talk about the manual that we have for other people. And so that would be a great companion to this episode. But for now, hang with me. Understand that it's the way the primal part of the brain works. Doesn't mean anything's wrong with you, that you're a bad person, or that anything's gone wrong. It just means that you are managing your emotions from the primal part of your brain, the subconscious, the lizard brain. We all do it, and that's the way we do it unless we start living more intentionally. And that has been the purpose of all the episodes this year, to bring more intention into our lives so that we can experience it on our terms, so that you can cause the effect in your life instead of life just happening to you. When we are operating in the primal part of the brain and we hit the bumpy part of the journey, we tend to look at what others are doing to create the bumps. We go to that place of, if this person would just do this or stop doing this, then I would feel better, or at least be less agitated and more confident. You get it. We look at our boss and what they are doing and how they are showing up that's making us feel crappy or insignificant. We look at our friends and notice how they are never there for us and they are always late and not respectful of our time. We even take notice of how our husband isn't doing the things he promised, or how he's just being crabby and annoying and watching too much football. We see the everyday service provider in our lives and we think, if they could just get their act together and get the order right or move this line a little faster, then I wouldn't be so irritated. Are you tracking with me? Here is your mind shift, my friend. How are you treating you? What promises do you make to you and then break? What do you say you're going to start and then you don't? What do you say you're going to stop and then you don't? How do you talk to you? How do you respect your time and your energy? What do you follow through on, or does your behavior get beyond the velvet rope, the boundary? I want you to really think about that before you try to clean up how others show up for you. I really want you to clean up how you show up for you. Set a standard for what you will allow from yourself, and then for sure you can clean up what you will allow from others. It seems like lately that I've been coaching a lot on relationships, and one of the things I hear people say is how much that other person is always letting them down or not showing up for them, and how they are disappointed by other people's behavior. When I ask them to get clean on how often they are letting themselves down and not showing up as their highest and best selves for themselves, and I'm not talking about how you show up for others, I'm talking about how you show up for yourself. This awakening is huge. Are you tolerating overeating when you said you wouldn't? Are you tolerating telling yourself you're going to stick to a plan and then you don't? Are you tolerating waiting until the last minute to get something done? What are you tolerating from yourself for yourself? What velvet rope or boundary have you set for yourself that you don't honor? And then ask yourself why. So that's where you start. And then, and only then, and this is some deep work people, only then can you take a look at the people in your life and create standards for what you will tolerate from them. Now, here's the deal. Having a boundary for another human can only ever come from a place of love and respect for them and for you and for the relationship if it's going to work. It cannot come from anger or resentment. Here's the deal on boundaries. They come from love, not anger and hurt. And they are not what the other person has to stop or start doing. It is what you will do. What will you do if your friend is late again? Maybe you wait 5 minutes and order without her. Maybe you just leave. Whatever it is that you decide that you will do isn't about making them not be late again. It's about you deciding what you will do when they are. And then you have to be willing to do it. Huh? You mean I can't just expect friend to never be late again? Why can't I just have expectations? You can, but remember, if your emotional well-being is tied to how they show up, then you will for sure be disappointed. But when you clean up how you treat you and you exercise self-love properly, when someone else shows up outside of your standard, you aren't offended. You don't make it mean anything about you or your relationship. You keep it about them and their way of showing up. You don't get offended by their behavior. Do you see how that works? Now, let me warn you, exercising your velvet rope means that your friend may be upset with you. She may think you should just wait, and that's okay too. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable with exercising your standards. It's a process. It's part of growing your self-image, and here's what I have learned. People get on board and they line up with how you treat yourself first and foremost. When you are a good steward of your time, so are they, or at least they aren't surprised if they are late and you started without them or you just left. When you do what you say you're going to do for you, the people that are in your life understand that, and they will do it too. The people that aren't your people probably never will, and that's okay. They won't be surprised when you exit the relationship or stop accepting lunch date invitations. The more that you tolerate your own BS mess, the more likely you are to tolerate others. So just notice what you are tolerating from yourself first. How are you treating you? Where are you disappointing you? So get clean on your own velvet rope and self-boundaries first, and then from a place of love and peace and calm, you can start exercising boundaries for others. All right, I'll give you an example of one that I have. I don't take phone calls after 8 o'clock. Here's the deal. I was getting mad because I would get phone calls after 8 o'clock and it would get me wound up, and then I couldn't go to sleep. My thought was, why do people need to call me so late when here's the deal? 8 o'clock is not late for everyone, but it is late for me. I don't have to answer the phone just because the phone rings. I let it go to voicemail. It does not mean that they aren't important or that I don't love them or want to talk to them, but just not after 8 o'clock at night. I want to protect and honor my body's need for relaxation and sleep, and that's what makes me available for everyone else on a higher level, honoring myself first. Do people get upset when I don't answer? It's not my business how they respond to my boundary. It's not a boundary that is set to teach them a lesson or keep them from calling when they want to call. It's a boundary that is set to honor what I need in order to wind down and get to sleep. They can still call after 8. They'll just have to leave a message and I'll catch up later. Do you see how that works? They still get to do what they want to do, and so do I. Now, I hear all kinds of people screaming, I could never do that. That would be too uncomfortable. I don't want to make anyone else feel bad. Then don't. But then don't be upset when they come around your velvet rope. All right, let's use another example that involves a physical boundary. So most recently, as you know, I've been diagnosed with Hashimoto's, and it's an autoimmune disease. The flares that we experience just happen to be triggered by stress specifically, as most diseases are. So managing stress is my number one antidote. I have a person in my life that has been consuming an incredible amount of time with my thoughts and my feelings. I found most of my waking hours consumed in thoughts of them and not in a positive way. This isn't a person that I can avoid. And in fact, I know that I'll be spending time in an event in the near future in which we will both be attending. I have spent months and months doing the work around this person and the trauma created by the events from the past. It was a heavy load that I've been carrying for a number of years. I decided that I was not going to spend the next 90 days or so consumed by thoughts of them, and I decided to take intentional action from a place of love for me and for them. You see, in the past, and for a number of years, probably 40, when I would see this person, I would bristle as soon as they entered my space, physically bristle. I knew that they would want to hug, and I didn't want to hug them. I knew that they would want to be part of conversations that I did not want to have with them. I could feel my body react in their presence. It made me feel like a horrible person. I would feel guilty, and it came with a lot of shame for not behaving Christian-like. Then, on the other hand, what I recognized is that my body did not feel safe in the presence of this person. Knowing the battle that's already going on in my body, I decided to come to the rescue of the little girl who has been re-experiencing trauma every time she sees this person. I decided to have her back like no one has ever before. The conversation that took place as a result was from a place of love for me, for that little girl, and for this person who I've spent a lot of time and energy trying to avoid. Once the conversation was over, I felt like I had dropped a 500-pound backpack at the feet of this person who should have been carrying it all along, not me. No one raised their voice. I stayed in compassion for me and for them, and I let them know that the thought of hugging them physically hurt me, and I was no longer willing to do that. I was no longer available for that. They can still want to, and they can still try, but don't be surprised when I walk away. For the first time in my life, in a very long time, I felt safe. I feel safe. This was the big exhale I have needed to experience for 40 years. Was it uncomfortable? Yes, but not nearly as uncomfortable as carrying around a 500-pound backpack for someone else that was never meant for me to carry. As a result, my body feels safe. My thoughts are not consumed with this person. I've been looking forward to the event instead of dreading seeing this person. It was the biggest expression of having my own back that I have ever experienced, and it was just what my soul needed. Don't be afraid to be a little uncomfortable as you uplevel your standards and as you start creating your life by design, whatever that looks like for you. Really dial into how well you are honoring your velvet rope first for you, and then lovingly look at your relationships. All right, my friends, I hope this was helpful and useful to you. Let me know by shooting me an email or leave me a review. I would love to hear from you. This is what I have for you this week, and now go have the best day ever. That's a wrap. I hope that you were able to experience a mind shift of your own today. Listen, if you loved this podcast, you should totally check out my Life by Design 6-week bootcamp. It's a work at your own pace workshop and something that you can do over and over and over again to uplevel your results and get ready for a transformation at the speed of life.